Hey, welcome back. It's Heckman. We're back with another DraftKings prediction and strategy show. This week it's for UFC Ottawa. Um, the card this week is really interesting. There's 12 good fights. It's not as interesting for punt plays as last week's card was. Last week I really liked a bunch of fighters in the $7,000 to $8,000 range. Mike Perry, Corey Sandhagen, Glover Teixeira, Diego Lima, to name a few. I also had Mike Davis on a card or two, and I also had Jason Gonzalez on a card or two, and those two guys didn't come through, but the others did, and hopefully you made a few bucks last week. This week, there's a bunch of good fights, though, so let's just get into it. Let's start right away with the first fight that we'll be looking at: Derek Brunson and Elias Teodoro. Brunson is at 8,200. He's let me see here. He's 18-7. He's a minus 120 Vegas favorite, and I like him here in this fight. Actually, I'm gonna be playing him on a couple of cards. I think he's the guy with the most DraftKings upside. As a reminder, you want to aim for about 100 points per selection, and that'll get you about 600 points or so, and hopefully that'll get you in the running for some decent money. Let's take a look at Brunson here. His last couple of fights, he's been in with the best of the best. He's in with the current interim champ. He got knocked out in the first round. I was actually at that fight at Madison Square Garden. Fight before that, he fought Jacare. Before that, Machida. You could see he's in there with a lot of high-level guys. He's going to need to keep Elias off him. Elias is kind of I would say, a decision fighter. If you look at his last bunch of fights, they've all gone to decision. If you look at his DraftKings points, he's not a high point getter. 76, 68, 94 is the most. He had a bunch of strikes against Dan Kelly in that one. Brad Tavares, 32 points and a loss. I'm not loving his upside for DraftKings purposes. So I think the preferred play here for DraftKings, considering the prices, is going to be Brunson. Elias is a plus 100 in Vegas, but I'm just not loving his upside. Brunson has the chance for 100 points if you can hit him with that left hand and maybe knock him out. Otherwise, it's very possible that this fight could go to a decision. And Elias is that type of fighter where, he can eke out a split decision or a decision because he's a grinder, and he can win rounds just by staying active. But, I don't think he's going to be scoring a lot of points even if he wins. All right, so the pick here for DraftKings purposes would be Brunson. Next fight: Juan Adams against Arjan Bhullar. Arjan Bhullar is a Olympic wrestler. He's a little bit smaller than Juan Adams. He's Canadian. My pick in this fight, my preferred play, is going to be Bhullar. He's 8-1. He's a minus 105 Vegas favorite, and so is Juan Adams. So you're getting a $400 DraftKings value at same Vegas moneyline odds of minus 105. Juan Adams is a better striker. He has a path to victory with that, but my research on him is that if it doesn't end in a first round KO, he might gas, and his cardio is an issue, and the fight will swing into the advantage of Bhullar. So my preferred play here is Bhullar at $7,900, and prediction is going to be by decision win. Next fight: This is going to be a really great fight. Merab Devashilvili, Georgian fighter. I'm just going to come out and say that he's my preferred play here at $8,600. He's 8-4. He's actually a -170 favorite. And he's a very active fighter, fantastic wrestler. He's capable of getting 100 points for you, even if it goes to decision, by the amount of takedowns he might get and advances he could get. So he's definitely got 100-point upside. I'm going to have him in a bunch of cards. On the other hand, Brad Katona is a fighter I really like also. I think he's 8-0. He's plus 150 underdog in Vegas. He's a very good jiu-jitsu fighter, very, very smart. And you can't rule out Katona as a punt play. But I think that Merab's aggression and wrestling is just going to probably be a little bit too much for Brad. So my suggestion for this particular fight is to play Merab. I think he's going to win. He might win by decision, and hopefully he'll get you in that 100-point range with all of his activity. As far as Katona is concerned, if you're playing multiple cards and you wanted to throw Katona on a card or two, I have no problem with that. All right, next fight. Andrew Sanchez against Marc-Andre Barriault. Probably mispronounced Barriault in some French way. Sanchez is 10-4. He's a -165 favorite in Vegas. Barriault is 11-1. He's plus 145. My research on Barriault is that he's a good striker. He's one of the best Canadian middleweights. I think he's the champion right now of one of the biggest promotions in Canada. And this is his UFC debut. But I think Sanchez might be a little bit too much for him. Sanchez is a very good grappler. He's training now at TriStar, and if he fights a smart fight and uses his grappling and gets this fight to the ground, I really think that he can win this fight fairly handily. It's just a question of whether or not he's going to fight smart. If he decides to keep it on the feet, he's going to give Barriault the path to victory. But I don't think he's going to do that, especially now fighting out of TriStar. It's a good camp, good strategists. So my prediction for this fight is going to be Andrew Sanchez by decision. As far as DraftKings is concerned, at 8,700, yeah, it's tough to say if he's going to get you that 100 points that you're really looking for. I have my doubts. So he might be a better cash player. But if you wanted to play him for GPP purposes, he might be someone who's a little bit lesser owned for that reason. He might not have that upside that people are looking for. But, maybe he'll get you 80 points in a win. All right, as far as Barriault is concerned at 7,500, I'm not going to have him too much. I might fade him altogether. But, if I'm filling out my cards, I might throw on a card or two as well. Because Sanchez, in the past, he has been known to stand up. And his cardio is not that great as well. So, if he gets into the later rounds, Barriault does have a path to victory. So I'll probably have Barriault on a card or two, but my preferred play is Sanchez here. All right, next fight. Ayman Zahabi against Vince Morales. Zahabi at $9,000. Not loving the price. I do think he can win this fight. I do think he will win the fight, probably by a decision. He's 7-1. He's a -150 underdog in Vegas. Morales is 8-3. He's a +130. um, dog. Did I say Zahabi was an underdog? He's a 150 favorite. Morales is plus 130 underdog. When you're looking at the odds in Vegas at plus 130, and then you compare that to Morales at 7,200, you're getting a DraftKings value here, I think. Mostly when you get 7,200 priced fighters, they're much bigger underdogs than plus 130. So if this fight can stay on its feet, Morales has the striking. It's possible that he can win the fight if it stays on the feet. So I might have Morales as a punt in 1 or 2. I'm not confident. I do think Zahabi's going to win the fight. But again, with the DraftKings, you're looking for 100-point upside, and at $9,000, I'm not sure Zahabi really provides that. So my preferred play would probably be to punt on Morales here for DraftKings purposes. But if you wanted to throw Zahabi in there, under the same premise that you wanted to play Sanchez, where you're just looking to get 80 points maybe, and stay a little bit safer, you can do that. Certainly with cash games, that's not a bad play. GPPs, there's not as much upside as you might be looking for. All right, next fight. Macy Chiasson against Sarah Moras. Chiasson at $9,400 for DraftKings purposes. She's 4-0. She's a minus 720 favorite in Vegas. It's clearly the biggest on the card. Yeah, I think this is a huge mismatch. Chiasson is a very safe DraftKings play, and I think she's a safe bet for 100 points as well. So if I can fit her on my cards, I'll definitely have her. As far as Moras is concerned, her takedown defense is horrible. She really doesn't have any path to victory other than a possible, shock armbar submission on Macy, and I just can't see Macy letting that happen. So I'm going to fade Moras completely, and Macy's the play here at $9,400, probably by a first-round knockout or submission or TKO. All right, next fight. Mitch Gagnon against Cole Smith. Cole Smith is one of my favorite punts on this card. He's making his debut. He's fighting a guy in Mitch Gagnon who has fought like once in the last 4 years. Yeah, I don't know what's been going on with Gagnon, but he is the favorite. He's at $8,500. He's 12-4. He's a minus 115 favorite, whereas Smith is also a minus 105 favorite in Vegas, and at $7,700, how can you not like that price? He's not even a dog in Vegas at the moment. So he's bigger. He's much bigger than Gagnon, and I think he could win this fight by submission if he gets it to the ground. So my prediction for this fight is going to be Cole Smith, who's probably my favorite underdog play, or actually punt play on the DraftKings card. So I'll probably have Smith in a bunch of cards, sort of like the way I was talking about Sandhagen last week. He's my Sandhagen of the week. So Cole Smith, probably my decision, my prediction is by submission. Gagnon, I'm probably not going to play anywhere, to tell you the truth. All right, next fight. Kyle Nelson against Matt Sales. Matt Sales at $9,100 against Nelson, who is really an unknown fighter. Sales is a lot smaller than Nelson. Sales is 7-2. He's a minus 225 favorite in Vegas. I'm not really confident in Sales here at that price, especially since we don't know too much about Nelson. Nelson, I believe, is much bigger. I think he's about 5'11", and the bigger fighter. And he's got knockout power. So this fight, I'm probably, if I was to play it, I might play Nelson as a punt at 7,100. He's plus 195 in Vegas. I just don't know too much about this fighter, to tell you the truth. And sales is too expensive for me. So my research is saying maybe stay away from this fight. But if I'm going to do anything with it on DraftKings, it might be Nelson as a punt play. All right, next fight. Nordin Taleb at 9,300 against Kyle Prepelic, who is making his UFC debut on short notice. And I believe he's fighting up a weight class. He's usually fighting at lightweight. I think Nordin is the safe play here. I think Nordin either wins by a KO or by a decision. He's 14-6. He's a minus 400 favorite. Propolak is 12-5. He's a plus 285 dog. I won't play Propolak anywhere, and Taleb I'll probably have on a card or two as a safe DraftKings play. So not much really to say about this fight. I think Taleb is the clear favorite and should win this fight. As far as 100 points is concerned, he's going to need a knockout. And I'm not so sure he can do that, but if he does, he'll get you that 100 points. But I'd rather play Chase on at that price level. Chase Hunt's at 9,400. All right, next fight. The fight of the main event. Al Iaquinta at 8,400 against Donald Cowboy Cerrone at 7,800. Now, when you look at the Vegas odds, they're both at minus 110. So when you're comparing the odds to the DraftKings prices, you're getting a huge discount on Donald Cerrone at 7,800. It's a great fight. I'm really looking forward to this fight. My prediction is that Donald Cerrone wins this fight. Why? I just think he's the better all-around fighter. He has the jiu-jitsu. He can sub Al. He has the Muay Thai on the feet. He's a good wrestler. And for me, Al is a good striker. He has great cardio. It's a 5-round fight. I'm definitely going to have both sides of this fight for DraftKings purposes. But I'll have more of Cerrone because of his price and because I think he can get you 100 points. Al Iaquinta is a grinder. He never gives up, but he doesn't have anything for me that really stands out. He's a good wrestler, but he doesn't have great offensive wrestling. He does some jiu-jitsu, but he doesn't really strike me as somebody who can out jiu-jitsu Donald Cerrone. He can knock out Cerrone. I think that's his path to victory. And his other path to victory is, by a decision, if he grinds it out for all 5 rounds. But give me Cerrone here for the most part. But I think you want to probably play both fighters for DraftKings purposes. But my prediction here is going to be Cerrone, and I'll have him on a bunch of cards. And he's somebody that I'd probably pair with maybe Chiasson, Cerrone, and Smith on a bunch of cards, and then mix and match some other combos. Okay, next fight. Shane Burgos, who is I believe he's 11-1, and Cub Swanson, who is coming in at 25-10, and is at 7,400. I don't have the odds on this particular fight, but Burgos is clearly a favorite, and he's my preferred play here. probably by knockout. Cub is, he's just been around. I think he's at the end of his career. He hasn't knocked out anybody since 2013. Burgos is a lot bigger than Cub, and I just think that Cub is going to get his fourth loss in a row here. He's fighting the best of the best, so you can never count him out. He's a savvy veteran, and he certainly can grind it out, possibly to a decision victory. But I don't see him finishing Burgos at all here. And if he doesn't finish Burgos, I'm not loving him for DraftKings purposes, even at 7,400. So my preferred play here is going to be Burgos at 8,800, and I think he has that 100-point upside if he can knock out Cub. All right. I probably won't have Cub anywhere, but if I do, it would only be on a couple of cards, maybe one or two. Next fight, Walt Harris against the newcomer, Sergey Spivak. Spivak is 9-0. Harris is 12-7. Harris is at minus 160. Harris is a big boy. He's at 6'5". Spivak is, he is 9-0, but, he's fought a bunch of cans. We don't really know much about Spivak. Whereas Harris, I think, he can win the fight by KO. At 8,900, it's not a bad play. But again, we don't know much about Spivak. We don't know, really what he brings to the table. So there's a little bit of an unknown, which makes me a little bit hesitant on going all in on Harris here. But if I was going to make a prediction, it would be Harris, maybe by a first-round KO, or by decision. All right, guys. That's about it for this week. Tried to keep these videos short. It should be a fun night tomorrow night. I might come back after the weigh-ins and give you my thoughts. I'm not really sure, time permitting. But if I don't, have fun tomorrow night, and let's get it.